What's up, Wanna Coffee fam? It's Kai, and we are back, kicking off season 2, and things have slightly changed for us. We will have weekly contributions from strangers all over the world discussing various topics chosen by yours truly. And this is the first time these contributors have spoken to one another, so you are in for a real treat. Without further ado, here's Ethan and Dre with healthcare in the U.S.
What's up? Want a coffee? Let's do this.
Yeah, hello. Introductions. My name's Ethan Nguyen. I'm here speaking with...
I'm Dre Parsons. Hello.
Hello. I believe today's topic is healthcare in the U.S.
Healthcare in the U.S. That's awesome. So funny. I just paid my monthly bill to have that lovely healthcare in the U.S. literally today.
I've been paying off some bills for brain scan last year, not to mention continued PT on my knee.
Right.
Not to mention my dental plans, and then I've got to schedule more scans, et cetera, et cetera.
So I think it's a very well-known secret that America's healthcare system is absolutely trash.
To say the least.
It is absolutely trash. I will absolutely admit that I'm far too old to not know as much about these things as I should. And I'm actually just starting to understand. I always got my health insurance through jobs I had.
Yeah.
And I've been very lucky and very blessed to always have some sort of full-time job that provided healthcare. And I used it for the basics. I've been very lucky because I use it for the basics. I wear contacts and eyeglasses.
Yeah.
Go get your teeth cleaned every year, get all your general checkups, and then you're good. But I really feel cheated because I don't feel I don't understand the ins and the outs the way I should.
Right.
And the way it's explained to you every time it's time to, re-enroll for your insurance and stuff, it's as if everyone has a base level understanding of what terms like deductible and in-network and out-network and all these things. And to me,
out of pocket.
I just that it's still very tell me how much the thing costs. I don't care for all of these other words.
There are so many barriers for American citizens growing up to truly understand that. It's one of those things where we don't teach our people from a young age up until adulthood some of the very important things they need to know when they reach adulthood and get jobs. That being what are taxes? How do you do your taxes? And healthcare, health
Right.
insurance. Because it's only until recently that there's a legal mandate that you have to have health insurance, right?
Right.
That's very recent. That's very recent.
Very recent. And just the even idea of, to me it's it's 2021 and it feels like these systems are so behind on automation and user friendliness and all of these things. It should not be. And I'll give a really good example. A couple of months ago, I found what I thought was potentially a lump on my breast, right? And so I don't know if that's what that is. I just knew I felt something that I normally don't feel.
Right.
And it took me a month to just be able to sort out who I can go see, how much it was going to cost. Is it, do I need to get the proper things? And I read a thread on the internet, on Twitter, of course, because I'm always on Twitter, of an American living, I think, in Switzerland. And she just was like, I found a lump on her breast.
I was thinking of the same exact thread that you're talking about, but please.
She found a lump on her breast. She got in next day and then got all of the tests she needed And she's asking all these questions, like, and I would be the same person. How much is all this going to cost? How much is
I don't have a referral. I don't have a referral. And
I
they
don't
were
have a
like,
referral. And they're just like, what are
what
you
is a
talking
referral?
about?
Yeah.
This is potentially a life or death situation. Here, get the test. Here's the test. Here are the results. Hi, you're fine. We'll see you never. Like we'll see you.
And according to her, they kept apologizing for the inconveniences they put on her, which to an American is just insane, because
insanity.
It's just, that's just insane to think that healthcare professionals would actually apologize to us for slight inconveniences for seeing us a day after as opposed to the day of. And because she didn't have Swedish health insurance, or whichever country it was, I actually can't remember exactly which, but
I feel like it's either Ireland or Switzerland. It was one of those two, but I
want to say it was one of those Nordic countries, so like Switzerland, Sweden, or Norway or Denmark, one of those.
One of those, yeah, for sure.
But then they were like, we're so sorry because you don't have insurance, you have to pay out of pocket, and then she's like, okay, this is where they get me. But then it costs like less than $100 for the entire thing.
I'm like, what?
For the entire thing. It wasn't like one single test that she had to pay for the next thing, pay for the next thing. No, it was the entire thing. And she found out she only had a lump. But by the way, so where are you at with your
so technically I still need to get the official like mammograms and stuff like that, but so far it's not what I thought it was. It was definitely something far less serious, thank God.
Well, thank God. Yeah,
but the point is, like, it's still taking me. It's been about 3 months or so since I first was like, I should probably get a mammogram just to double check. And I'm still working out like how to get this mammogram that's not going to cost me $400, because I could get a mammogram within the next week if I would like. But if I go to Planned Parenthood to get it, it's going to cost me $400. Like, $400, which would be more than, I don't have a car now, but when I did have a car, that's more than my car payment. That's at least half of a very cheap rent. Like that, it's almost like they just put, our American healthcare system is literally set up so that if you have money, you're fine. If you don't have money, here's every single hurdle you could possibly have. Jump through all of them perfectly, and then maybe you'll get what you need.
Even when you say as long as you have money, but even then it's like people who are relatively well-to-do, like even they will still have issues if it's like a major thing, right? You have to be filthy rich to actually be able to, I think, really say, I've got no problems. If I've got any medical problems, I'm fine. But even people who make like middle of the road salaries, or like they do enough to be able to get a savings, pay their rent or pay a mortgage or have a car, raise a family. Like if anything big happens, or even middle big, or even they think something big is gonna happen and they do all these tests, like you said, that's $400 down the line for a test.
A test, exactly.
Just to be able to determine whether you're going to continue needing further medical attention or not, serious or not.
Absolutely. It just feels very backwards in terms of, like, I know people's political leanings are whatever they are, and I do know that, like, the right is very anti-government in terms of, like, they don't want the government in as many things, right? As many of our lifetime, and that's just like very standard Republican. We won't go into the other craziness. So, and like, on one hand, that kind of sounds very free. So I kind of understand the idea. But then when you get to like the nitty gritty of things, where, well, if the government isn't regulating these things, who is going to? Because when you leave it up to the free market, we have situations like a $400 mammogram, and like all our people's drugs, and I can't even, the amount of money my parents spend on their medications that they absolutely need to have, to continue going on. Like, it just doesn't, it's like they would rather, it's profit over people. And the last place that should be is in healthcare, but it is here in the US.
It feels less profit over people and more just only profit, damn the people, is what it really feels like.
You bring up far better than I did. Yeah.
You bring up these notions of like, and I think you mentioned it, where it's just the idea of cost for these very basic things. Like, you know, everybody, I think people are starting to realize now, like insulin is a great example, where insulin shots and for people with allergies and will literally die if they just don't have this one shot that can literally just save their life if they accidentally consume or even come near peanuts or nuts or any other allergies that might literally kill them, right? But these insulin shots can cost hundreds, and do cost hundreds of dollars. And then you read that article and you find out, well, insulin was created by a school, and then it was licensed out to a private company, and because they pay for that license, they're the like only company that can make insulin, and therefore they get to set the price.
I just feel like we have there's a serious issue when we treat insulin like a life-saving, you know, thing that could save lives. We treat it the same way as intellectual property, like someone coming up with an idea for a script, or like the fact those two things should not be treated, regulated, or dealt with the same. My mother and I were just chatting about the COVID vaccines and how that rollout is going, because my mother is a secretary at a middle school. My middle sister is currently going through she's finishing up her degree in her grad school degree in teaching for students with disabilities. And she's amazing, you know, and they both work in the school system, and you know, they're technically in the first round, or they get to be in the first round of the COVID rollouts.
Right.
But like, there's already a ton of issues, like
bureaucracy and
And I just like this is a global pandemic. We've been in for over a year, a little over a year now at this point, in terms of when COVID entered the United States, right? And we're about to be in a year of our semi sort of kind of almost lockdown. And we have a vaccine now. We have vaccines that can potentially do that could help. And the rollout is worse than like trying to get some Jordans on the sneakers app. Like, it's very
That's a great example. That is a great example. That's a great example. People waking up early hours of the morning for that 9 a.m. drop. You're getting on the app, trying to reserve your spot. Sold out. Vaccines sold out.
Or people going from town to town. Like the suburbs of Chicago are such a great example of that, because you can go from one town to the next in 2 seconds. And so of course, hearing people, they went to a town over and got the vaccine because it was there, but not here. Like, of course people are going to do that.
And then, no, sorry, go ahead.
No, you please.
And then that creates, of course, the black market, right? Where the people who take advantage of people's desperations, and they take like private caches of the vaccine and sell them off, or fake vaccines. Or I think there's I think my sibling, so I'm from California, and originally I'm in New York now, but my sibling sent me a link or something of a well-known doctor in the Vietnamese community who was notorious for exploiting like that Vietnamese community. So like he was offering the vaccine at like a higher price point to individuals rather than doing his job as a doctor, which obviously sounds sketchy as F. Like, I highly doubt he's actually got the vaccine, you know.
Well, right, but it ties into what we were talking about earlier. When we create a society where healthcare is a business and a system, so the system is already set up that way. This is the system that so many of us were born into and grew up in.
Yeah.
Of course, so when you create the system within capitalism, of course there's going to be a black market. I feel like there's always a left with the right. There's, you know, and I just don't, it's really sad to say, like, it feels like that you get to a point where your individual innocence kind of dies, and you realize these systems that you have grown up with are not created to actually help you.
Nope.
They're created to just govern you, I guess, if that's the best word, control you, but they're not really created to help you. And every time a system tries to pop up within that to try to help the people, they again several hurdles, several issues
Yeah, it's
to even sort of kind of get it going.
it's an interesting way you put it, where we grow up and we lose the shine of what it is to live the American dream, quote.
Yeah.
The shine of it, the innocence of it, of like everything is blank slate. You just got to pick yourself up by the bootstraps. But that is not the case. The system is rigged from the beginning, especially for minorities,
Mm-hmm.
because of course.
Because of course.
And people, and it's frustrating because you look at like the system of government, our government, it's their job to fix it. But the thing is, you get to this age, and I get a little jaded, disheartened, because everything they talk about is just talk, and everything they tried, it was like, oh, we have to fix the drug market, we have to fix this. It's like everything they keep bringing up in the news, in public announcements and speeches and talking points. These are just like tweaks to the existing system. They're just tweaks to the existing.
They're treating symptoms, not the disease.
Which is a mirror to American healthcare in general, is that American health is very reactive and not preventative, which a lot of foreign countries of the first world nature are already there. They're about well-being of the daily of the day-to-day, not just treat you when you're sick. It's like helping you to get better, because even here the idea of changing our lifestyles to be in a place where we can prevent sickness and illness is expensive. The whole organic and natural and like movement, it's expensive because it's also privatized.
It's expensive. And that's such a great point. And like just even the idea of like, I was in grad school when I learned what the term food desert meant, that there are some neighborhoods that don't have a grocery store. And I'm like, oh, like, well, of course. Then of course they'll just go to a corner store and get chips and whatever the corner store offers, the bodega offers, whatever is like right there. Sure. You know what I mean? Like, but I'm very privileged in the fact that I grew up in a suburb of Chicago, you know what I mean? So like I don't know what it's like to grow up in a neighborhood or live in a neighborhood for that matter that doesn't have a grocery store that's 1 mile or less away from me. And like I think that's just a really good example, a good thing that you brought up in terms of the fact that yes, we're a very reactive society in the US. We don't like to, and I say we, not necessarily the people, but the governments and those in charge don't like really investing in the preventative measures and fixing our healthcare system, making it far more accessible and less expensive as a whole would do wonders for like every other aspect of society, in my personal opinion. When you take care of the people take care of the society.
Right, but why would they want to do that? Because they'd cut their near-term profits. That's how it works. It's all about like they make these changes and then they lose upfront money, right?
Yeah.
But it's nuts because the amount of wasted money that goes into everyday healthcare could go into the economy. Like if people were just healthy, literally, people would spend their money on other things, unnecessary things, entertainment, commodities. Literally what capitalism is about.
Right.
So much of our money is tied up in healthcare, and there are no easy solutions because we don't care.
We've probably ran out of time. I was keeping an eye out for 15 minutes or so. So I think
we actually just hit like 18, so we're actually right there. So yeah.
I was very scared. I made that mistake the last time. Go ahead and stop recording.
No, yeah, I'll stop recording. Farewell, everyone.
That was tough to hear. We are the leaders of the free world, and yet our healthcare system is absolutely abysmal. Thank you guys for the wake-up call and for the discussion. Much needed. That's it for us, folks. Catch us next week for a brand new episode with brand new contributors. If you like what you heard, please like, share, and subscribe. You can follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at WannaCoffeePod. That's WannaCoffeePod. I'm your host, Kai, and let's wanna coffee next week. Cheers. Orange is not my new black.